All right, so the question is, how low will Bitcoin go in 2025? So it's early March right now, and right now the market is going through a torrid time. I mean, Bitcoin is back up to 80k, but yesterday it was down to about 78k or something. Markets are pretty spooked right now. You know, who knows where we're going to end up. I do have some theories on where we're going to go. But it really depends on what you think. Do you think that we're already in March, in the beginning of a bear market, and have been already for a month or so? Or do you believe that we're going to recover and we might still hit all-time high and beyond in the later part of this year, and you don't know what happens after? Or maybe you're one of these people who believe something in the middle, like we're gonna hit a bull market earlier. It's going to be a stratospheric bull market, but I know some of those people also believe that then the bear will start, and other people believe the general economic situation, that actually the bear market in the general economy is not going to start till later in the year, but it will for sure. That we will enter recession. Look, whichever it is, I think that the bottom will probably end up being the same no matter what, whether it's early, mid, or late. So I guess my answer is kind of the same regardless of as long as you believe that there will be a bear market at some time this year, which I do, then how low is it going to go? I think it's a question of whether the bear market finishes by the end of the year. That is the real question, because a bear market is about a year in crypto. So in all likelihood, it probably wouldn't have finished. But let me assume that it's going to be average, and maybe it won't have finished, but will have seen most of its drawdown. Then I think that towards the end of the year, that we'll have had a very significant dip by then. We won't just be starting the dip, even if we've pumped or whatever. I think we'll be well into bear territory. I think we'll be lower than today. So today's 80k. And I think we'll be lower than today. And it wasn't long ago when we first started pumping last year, in around, I guess it would have been October or so. A lot of people were talking about the new floor for Bitcoin being 60k, that it would never go back down below 60 again. Me personally, I'm not sure that's true. We had that pump last year, and if you look at a chart of the entire Bitcoin's action since 15 years ago, I know a lot of people wanted it to go higher, much higher than 100, 110k. But if you look at an entire chart, I'm not sure it kind of, we're entitled to believe that, right? We've had some massive pumps recently, and this kind of exponential growth, the degree of it, I don't know if we're entitled to believe that can keep continuing. I think there's an argument to say that we already pumped way too much, way too early, just reaching 110. So and for that reason, I'm not sure we can say that the floor value deserves to be as high as some people might think. 60k could well be the new floor value that Bitcoin will never go down below, but I'm not sure about that. I think it could go lower than that. I think it could happen this year. And I don't think we're going back to the days of, like, it certainly won't go to the okay, the lowest point of the previous bear was about 17k, thereabouts. So I think it's pretty safe to say that the floor of the previous bear market is definitely won't be revisited again. So if you look at the floor of the previous bear markets, then we're talking about, on all these cycles, so one of them was around 3k, and then the next one was around 17k, 16k. So now I know what you're thinking. Well, 3k to 17 is quite a big difference, so our new floor should be higher, so 60k is reasonable. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but like I said, I'm not sure that we can expect necessarily that kind of insane leveling up of the floor. But I think we at least know that it's not going to go down to 17k again. I mean, I'm 99% sure of that. But I don't think it's going to be as high as 60k. So I think it's going to probably be somewhere in the middle. That it could go down. Not saying it will definitely go down, but I don't think 40 to 50k is unreasonable that it could go down to. Now remember, in last year, in the early half of last year, it did go down as low as 55k. So that's under the previous the ATH from the previous cycle. I think it'd be unlikely for it to get that low, but I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it would breach that low. So I think that might be the low. I think that might be the low, 55k. But the amazing thing is we're not that far off it. You know, last time in the last cycle, right? From, you know, we lost about from 64k down to like 15k. It was basically a 75% drop. That would put us down at like 25, you know, about 30k or so. So in theory, the drawdown could be that low, about 30k. It could, and that would still have us above the bear market low of the previous cycle, which is I think the most important rule, if you're going to call it that. So yeah, we could go down as low as 35k. Very difficult to say. I don't think 60k is the floor. I think it's more likely to be around 50 or so, but it could be as low as 35. So yeah, in my opinion, that's how low it could go. Even in 2025, it could go that low. And me personally, I know some people are buying this so-called dip already at 80k. I think it's way too early to be buying this dip. I mean, of course, if you're DCAing and you're just putting money in regularly anyway, and you don't really care what your average buy price is, you know it's just going to get better and better. Fair enough. If you're trying to be more strategic about it and trying to catch it, you know, knowing that you're not going to catch it at 75% drawdown, which is going to be about 35k, that's going to be pretty hard to time. But I would think that the top estimate of the floor that I've heard is being 60k. For me, that would be where I start buying back in at 60, and hoping to get even cheaper bargain, that maybe it goes down 55, 50, 45, and it might even go down lower, right? But for me personally, I would look to start buying in at around 60 or maybe 65. 65 is not far away, right? If we're really in a bear market and it just got started, well, we got some ways to go. You know, if we're at 80 now, 65 is not that much further down. So for me, it's not really time to start slurping again. I don't know. There will be a lot of resistance at the previous all-time high, which is 67. It could chop around there for a while, actually. So it could be a good buy round about there. Let's just say under 70. I'm not going to buy anything above 70. I don't really see that as a bargain unless you believe that the bull run is going to continue. Then you might see it as a bargain. But I'm not a believer that the bull market's going to continue unless something crazy happens in the market and there's a whole massive interest rate cuts. Then yeah, I don't know. I just don't see it. But anyway, these are my thoughts on how low we might go. Let me know what you think. What do you think? How low will Bitcoin go in 2025? None of this is financial advice, of course. Let me know what you think. I'll speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.